Díomh agus fáilte chuig What the Focal. Hello and welcome to What the Focal, where I answer your questions about the Irish language. Today I'm going to be talking about Canúint na nDéise, or the Munster Irish spoken in the Waterford region. And my guest today is an Dr. Noel Ó Murchadha. He's a lecturer in language education in Trinity College, Dublin. Tá mé bís a caint leis, so tá anna haim agum san ábhar bhíonn idir lábha agat san Noel. And the reason I wanted Noel to come on What the Focal to talk to me about this is because he's from the area, and also he is a sociolinguist who's interested specifically in just linguistic diversity, and I suppose that's really what dialects are all about. So, fáilte isteach, Noel.
Gur míle mágad Ciara agus gur mágad as an gcuirde teach an cainte le.
Tá mé bís goil tú lom aniu agus ba mé chur na gceistena fadairt atá agam faoi Canúint na Rinne. No, Canúint na nDéise, and we will be discussing the difference between, I said Canúint na Rinne, but that's one area, and then na Déise are another area. But this is something you often hear GAA supporters saying, they say, Hup na Déise, and where is nDéise?
Yeah, so today, the first thing people probably think about when you talk about nDéise or the Déise is probably just County Waterford and nothing beyond that. You say that's something that's probably been cemented a little bit in GAA circles and cheering Waterford fans shouting, come on, nDéise. Not to say that Waterford fans have all that much to cheer about these days. That's another story for another meeting maybe. Now, while the Déise today is generally used just to refer to County Waterford, that's a little bit ahistorical because in addition to County Waterford, the Déise territories historically included parts of County Tipperary and Kilkenny as well. And if we go back even further than that to sort of the 7th and 8th centuries, the Déise territories probably extended from Waterford and Kilkenny right through parts of Tipperary and into Limerick and Clare even. So you had probably a northern branch or sect in Limerick and Clare, and then the southern branch in Waterford, Tipperary and Kilkenny. And that's something actually that becomes very relevant when we talk about the dialects a little bit later on, because there was some continuity there as well.
Ítach. And when you say that, it extended into these different parts, was it like groups of people, or how did that work?
Yeah, so the Déise, I suppose a tribe is probably the best way to talk about it. There was a certain level of political and social unity and cohesion in those areas stretching from Waterford right up to Clare. So when we talk about the Déise, we're talking about political arrangements, social arrangements, and as we'll see later on, maybe linguistic cohesion and solidarity as well.
Why do you know this, Noel? Do you mind me asking? Is this part of your studies? It's fantastic. Like, I love how, though, when you're trying to talk about a dialect, you have to get into the history, because obviously that's completely how it was formed and how it came to be.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of the foundations for the Irish that's spoken in Rinn An Seanphobal and Rinn An Seanphobal were set quite a long time ago, centuries ago. So it's important to have that background, I suppose.
So you were saying on Rhine, Shin, that's ring, as people would know it in English, and then on Seanphobal, which is beside it, very close by.
Yeah, they kind of border onto each other. I suppose, importantly, when people think about Déise Irish or the Déise Gaeltacht today, you probably think straight away of those two areas that you mentioned, on Rhine and Seanphobal. You don't really have to go back that far, though, to find a time when there were quite a number of other areas in Waterford and South Tipperary that were Irish speaking and that were initially included in the official Gaeltacht right up until the middle of the 20th century. And we might consider them sort of as part of an older Déise Gaeltacht. Most of County Waterford was included in the early mapping of the Gaeltacht. But one area that's probably worth mentioning is the area around Sliabh Gua. Sliabh Gua, I'm not sure are you familiar with it, but it's about halfway between Dungarvan and Clonmel in South Tipperary. It includes areas in kind of mid-county Waterford around Ballinamult, Tuairneir and Bohadoon. The way people who like their Irish language songs might know that name, Sliabh Gua, is from the song Sliabh Gal Gua na Féile by Pádraig Ó. That's the area in question there. So Sliabh Gua was in the Gaeltacht well into the 20th century, and I mentioned songs in Irish there. This area around Sliabh Gua has quite a rich cultural and linguistic heritage. It's also the area where the Connerys were from. So there are two famous songs in Irish about the Connerys who were sent off on penal servitude to Australia. So this was their area as well. Now, on top of that area in County Waterford, there were Irish speakers just on the border in South Tipperary as well, around Newcastle. And that was in the Gaeltacht as well originally. People will know that area. That was where Seamus Ó Murchadha was from, who wrote An Leabhán is a Raibh Ann. So, as I say, even though these areas aren't any longer Irish speaking, they have quite a rich cultural and linguistic heritage in relation to the Irish language that it's quite easy to forget when we just focus today on, on Rinn An Seanphobal.
Mm-hmm. I mean, agus nuair hain tú ann, like tá an urgent daine, there's so many people in Rinn agus Seanphobal a bhfuil Gaeilge acu. I first went there in 2013, actually, when the Comórtas Pell and the Gaeltacht was on. So it was amazing.
Weekend, yeah.
It was a fantastic weekend. And that was the first time that I was kind of just completely surrounded by this dialect. And at first, and we will talk more about the differences between the dialect between like Munster Irish generally and kind of specifically words and phrases in the region. But one thing that stood out at first was how you say aha, because I would just been learning Gaelic and I thought that people were speaking Gaelic at first.
So instead of tá, you mean, is
instead
it?
Instead of tá, yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose what really stuck out is just that it is completely a living Gaeltacht.